If I could have your attention, please. We will begin the service in just a few minutes. I would ask those of you that have gathered near the tent to please come underneath the tent as we begin the service. The following individuals have been selected to act as pallbearers. As I call your name, I would ask you to please wait at the hearse. Fred Leviton, Brad Leviton, Tori Leviton, Jessica Potter, Cameron Potter, Jeremy Potter, Juan Kaminsky, Roberto Sapir, Abe Mazurski, and David Subi.
Los Angeles. You like it? I love it there. I went there for 3 months and ended up staying for 4 years.
Oh, good for you. So do you have a house there or apartment?
I rent an apartment.
Good for you. Good for you. We were last year. It's been a while, but we stayed at the Roosevelt last time I was there.
It's right by there.
Okay. Well, when I go again, if I go,
You should look us up.
I will. I'll call you.
All right, Carol.
I don't know when I'm going yet, but I know my son has to go back.
I know.
This is hilarious. First time sleeping in the real face to see you.
Karen, I have my 22.
No, you
It's
don't.
going to be 22 September 3rd.
How is that possible? You look 22 to me. You're still 22 to me.
I love you. Thank you. I'm forever 39.
Me too.
He's tall. He's 6'2".
No, she couldn't make it. She had to babysit for the Honey, did you see the tug? He's actually sent me a text. He goes like
Yo no me voy a sentar si quieres sentar a alguien.
Read underneath.
I said if someone comes in the minor seat, you'll get it.
You're female.
Female.
Some standards don't change. I think it's so cute. It's his first time sleeping.
Where did he sleep?
I don't know. Who knows?
What happened to Steve?
I'm Jordan. I'm Jeremy's girlfriend.
This is Jeremy's girlfriend.
Hello.
Distracted
Her
between
name is
names.
Jordan.
I also
They don't know you, but this is
recently
Raquel.
passed.
Hola.
Nice to meet you. Jacqueline.
I'll stand. Sorry.
Cognizant.
Should we go behind the?
Camera's live stream.
Cam.
Yeah?
You can send this to me here. I don't know. Someone sitting here.
No te reconoció.
And I saw your children. I didn't see Jessica.
Jessica, this is
Oh my
Cam.
God, are you ready?
This is Cam. This is Jeremy.
If I could have your attention, please.
We're
Yes, I said
done.
hello to them.
At this time, we're going to begin the graveside services here at the cemetery for Mr. Sam Potter. As we begin the service, I would ask if any of you has a cell phone or any other noise-making device, please turn it off at this time. Officiating the service here today is Rabbi Pinchas Eisenbach. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we start the services, it's usually a custom to rend a garment or a ribbon. This originated from the book of Genesis, where Jacob was told that his son Joseph disappeared. He said, "Vayikra Yaakov Simlotav," which means Jacob told. What is the idea of tearing? When someone passes away, he's not gone. Spiritually, in our heart, Sam, his Jewish name was Shmuel, will always be remembered. He was such a nice mensch, not only a nice mensch, he was a man, everyone loved him. He was like a diamond, shining, illuminating. And that was his job. What does a diamond do? It's small, but guess what? It's not only illuminating, shining, but it gives light and makes people happy. When someone gets married, what do? Get a diamond. And that was his life. Everyone was a diamond buyer. So let's say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan haemet. Bless the Lord of the universe, who is the true judge. You can see them.
I know my dad's. I haven't seen him in years. I gotta stop.
We are assembled here with our friends in the darkness that has fallen upon them. We raise our voices to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our lives. We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. May we find this in God, who preserves from destruction all that is good. Let us find us too. Sam Shmulik, I just want to tell you before I start the eulogy. The first time I met him, I told him, your name is Shmuel, the prophet. He says, no. You speak Spanish and Yiddish? I said, yeah. I said, my Yiddish name is Shmulik. I said, okay, I'm not going to argue. You can be my father, of course, So, and he said, Rabbi, but also remember that my father's name was Eliezer. I said, Eliezer was in the Bible, was a big man that helped Abraham. And my mother's name was Hannah. So he asked me, do you know who Hannah was? I said, of course. In a month from today is going to be Rosh Hashanah, and which portion of the Bible we read? The story of Hannah. I always get in trouble when I say we learned how to pray from Our Lady. She was the first lady who didn't have any children, and she did not verbalize, express herself. She was shaking her head. So the people in the synagogue thought, "You okay? Is this how you pray?" She says, "No, I'm praying out from my heart." And every year of Rosh Hashanah, of New Year's, we say that prayer that anyone can pray. So whatever you pray, in which language, even you don't express yourself, as long as in Hebrew it's called kavanah, the intention, that's good enough. I said, "Okay, now you can sit down." I said, "Okay." So I sat down, and we started to schmooze. He says he was Argentina, and he didn't have an easy life, but thank God, he went to Israel to get married again. His first wife died, he married again, and I'm going to mention later all the names. And the thing is, well, it told me one thing that was really bothering me, that one of his children got killed, And believe me, I said, oy vey. You know what oy vey means? Oh, God help me. So you know what he said? He took my hand, he kissed it, and he hugged me, and he said, at least you're honest. But he says, I said, tell me, I'm going to test your brains now. I said, okay. Did anyone in the Bible have any problems losing kids? I said, yes. Aaron lost his 2 children. And the Bible says, Va'idoi. Va'idoi means dam, which means coming blood, quiet. He was silent, he didn't know what to say. The second one was King David. King David had a son, and King David said, Beni, Beni, God, how can you take it away from me? And this is why I started the eulogy to mention, because he's now together with his son and his family and all the people. Not only that, in Kabbalah, we have this month, today is Rosh Chodesh, a month from today is going to be Rosh Hashanah. Why it's so important? Because the Talmud says, if someone passes away right before Rosh Hashanah, his neshama, his soul goes straight to heaven. Elul, it's called Elul. Elul, believe it or not, is not a Hebrew name. The Talmud said Elul is the name of Babylonia. Why? Because Jewish people lived in Babylon, and if you live in Babylon or Greece, you have to honor the city or the country you lived. But what is the acronym of Elul? Is Ani Ledodi Vedodili, which means I'm my beloved and my beloved is to me. But over here is more important. Some rabbi said in Kabbalah, in mysticism, you know what Elul stands for? Elul stands for Oroin, the tabernacle, Luchot, the Torah, Veshivre Luchot. What does Shivre Luchot means in Hebrew? The broken Torah. Why? Sometimes things are taken away from them. They have a broken family. They have problems, and guess what? The Bible tells us, no, we are like the Bible, we are like the Torah. Even if it's broken, guess what? We have to put ourselves together. And remember, Shmulik, you know who Shmuel was in the Bible? Was Hannah's son who became the king. And this is why I mentioned the month of Elul, why it's so important. In the book of Ecclesiastes, for everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones. And by him, the stones, you know what the stones was by Sam? The diamonds to make people happy. The jewelry. And guess what? In the Bible we have, before the tabernacle was built, guess who donated all the jewelry? The ladies. So this is why jewelry is very important in the Bible. They not only gave diamonds and gold, but they gave all kinds of jewelry to make sure that they are part of the temple. Because why is jewelry important? Because jewelry makes someone look very important. Not only important, look, I love it. Somebody loves me and I love them. It's a combination. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to discard. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. I was looking in the Bible. What can I say about sin? We're having now between Pesach and Rosh Hashanah, for a few more weeks, we read the Pirkei Avot, Father of Ethics. In the time of the Roman people, the Jewish people had a lot of problems, It wasn't easy, the economy, their troubles, and they couldn't pray all the time. So when you take 4 or 5 rabbis, you have, 10 different opinions. So the rabbis came together. How can we cleave? How can we help the community? Put religion in the side and let's see how we can help each other to bring the community together, to make him not only love and kindness, but to make sure that everyone is happy and on the same page. Rabbi Elazar said, Ayin Tova, which means a good eye, an attitude of tolerance and benevolence toward others. Yehoshua said, Chovatoi, which means a good friend being one and acquiring one. Then Rabbi Yossi said, not good enough. Shochentoi, which means a good neighbor. What is a good neighbor? Even more influential than a good friend, because in close proximity, one has more opportunity to learn from his friends and to work together. Then came another rabbi, he says, Aroyos Anoilad, which means to foresee the future. What does it mean? One who considers the outcome of the deed. This does not refer to the prophetic foresight, but to one who has foreseen the consequences of his action. Then Rabbi Elazar says, you're all correct, but there's only 2 words, because people don't want a lecture for 2-3 hours. I have only 2 words. They looked at him. Leif Toiv, a good heart. Why Leif Toiv? Leif Toiv in Hebrew, in Kabbalah, is 49. 49 is the highest category of doing chesed, kindness, and zakah, and charity. So what is Leif Toiv mean? It says, Leif Toiv, the good heart, symbolizes the emotion and desire that are the root in every endeavor, aspiration, spiritual tendency, achievements. That the term Leif Toiv includes all the stimuli that people towards goodness provide that they obey the dictates of their noble instincts. Now, Sam was that type of person. Shmuel, he was the prophet. You knew what the people wanted. And that's what I liked about him. He didn't know how to tell time, which I loved. I had a telephone, so I had to tell the person, do me a favor, I know I'm late, but I'll come later. He says, good. And I loved the way he talked to me. He spoke, he was in Argentina, he was in Israel, and the way he helped people. Then he told me he's going to teach me my Spanish. I said, my Spanish is not as good as yours. But I told him, you're a mensch. He said, you'll teach me Yiddish. I said, okay, no problem. And I told them in Yiddish, you say, the apple falls nicht weit von der Bäume, which means the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Why the apple? Not because of Adam. In Kabbalah, the apple tree might be hard, a tough cookie, but guess what? It's sweet, and the children, and the apple, everything is so sweet, so soft, that they can work together. And sometimes you need someone who's a tough cookie to help the children and the grandchildren, and he liked it. And he was the beloved husband of Joanna Potter and the late social Potter, loving father and daddy girl, and Fred Levitan, and the late Gary Karen Potter, whom he loved. He's now together with him. A daughter stepfather of Sylvia, the late Bob, Mayor, proud grandfather of Brandon Levitan, Tori Levitan, Jessica Potter, Cameron Potter, Jean-Marie Potter, David and Sean, Sabi and Jennifer, Brian, Tui, Sherry's great-grandfather. Guess what? In the Talmud it says in Kabbalah, if someone is a great-grandfather, you know why it's important? The neshama, the soul goes straight to heaven. He misses all the people in between. And that would send me the guy, the guy, he doesn't want anyone to bother him. He'll go straight to God. God will take care of him. God will uplift his veil. He says, Sam, Shmuel, you the king. You the angel. We love you. You come in. You are welcomed. And the great grandfather of Lucy, Zoe Jacob, Theron, and Pineapple, the brother of the late Isaac and the late Esther Potter and the late Sarah and Louis Kaminsky. And also, I want to mention that he had beautiful friends that just passed away not long ago, Ernie Finkelstein and Bob Mayer, all the friends that came today. He was a guy, everyone, he was like a magnet, I couldn't say no to him. I didn't see how long I was there. I thought, so the nurse told me, Rabbi, we have to give, I said, give him medication now. He said, yes, Sam says, so give me medication, then you can go. I have to still talk to the Rabbi. He said, you know what time? I said, for you, I don't know how to tell time. He says, now, good. We don't know how to tell time. And that's what I liked about him. And this was the idea of Leif Toiv, a good heart. And a sweet heart. And this is why I mentioned the apple fällt nicht weit von der Bäume. Now everyone has the Psalm 23 with them in English. It's on the second page. I'm going to sing Mizmor David, Psalm 23. Why is it so important? Psalm 23 is read every day in the synagogue. You know why? Religious, irreligious, everyone, even some of the Catholics borrowed it from us, believe it or not. You know why? They know what to take from us, borrow. Good stuff. You know why? It says, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort you. What is thy rod? In the Bible, biblical terminology, we extrapolate, thy rod does not mean a stick. It means something to lean on. Aaron HaKohen, Aaron, had a stick. What was the stick? To go to Pharaoh, to tell him, to make sure that the people are free, that people are taken care of. Shiftecha mishantecha, God, look at my beautiful tribe. Look what I accomplished. Look at my family. And look at my friends, how much I helped. If you have any questions, God, Sam is telling God, Shmuel is telling, look, God, Ribono Shel Olam, God, look at my tribe, look what I accomplished. And God tells him, Sam, you're the best. You're a Shevet. You're from the 12 tribes. And look, and everyone is your tribe. And this is why I'm going to sing it in Hebrew and we'll say it in English. V'zemoyer leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsor, bin avdeh yabiteni, amei menuchot yenaleni, nafshi yeshovel, Yancheini b'maglei tzedek leman shemo kam ki elech b'geit hamavet lo yirara ki ata imadi shiftecha umishantecha Shiftecha umishantecha Eimo yenachamoni Tarach lefonai shulchan Tarach lefonai shulchan Neged torero Yishanta v'shemen roshi kol sirevaya Ach tova chesed yirafuni kol yemei chayai Ve'shavti bevet Adonai Ve'shavti bevet Hashem Ve'yorech yamim. Let's say together. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the say, yea, though I walk to the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. There's a beautiful poem called Dash. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred the date on his tombstone from the beginning to the end. In order, first came his date of birth, and spoke the following dates with tears. But he said what matters most of all was the dash between those years, for the dash represents all the time that he spent on life on earth, and now only those who loved him knew what that little line was worth. For it matters not how much you own, the house, the car, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our days. So please think about it long and hard. Are there things you like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could only slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try and understand how other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show our appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dish might only last a while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life action to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about you and how you spent your days? The measure of Samuel. Not how did he die, but how did he live. Not what did he gain, but what did he give. Those are units of measure which Sam always gave and loved everyone. Not what was his station, but did he have a heart. And how did he play his God-given part? Was he ever ready of a good word to cheer someone else, to bring back a smile to a banished tear? Not what was his shrine, nor what was his creed, but he had befriended those really in need. Not what was his, not what his sketch in the newspaper said, but how many were sorry when he passed away. Before I continue, and if you'd like to say a few words to any other family members.
As you could see, I don't have a sheet of paper to read from. I did many within the last few days, wrote a lot of amazing words, and then I would go back and go, oh my God, I forgot this, and then, oh my gosh, I forgot that. And then I would get yet another message from someone who knew him, and I just kept getting the same messages over and over again, and I would go back to the paper and write more. And then, as you could see, they're all in my book. I have nothing. I don't want to ramble on, but one thing they came across in every single message, phone call, even Facebook posts, and I don't even know how those people even knew that my dad had passed. I am talking very calmly. I got here over an hour ago. I told Fred I need to get there and be by myself for a while. And I'll tell you, it was amazing. I got here, put my bag down, just started roaming around. The funny thing is, well, the first thing I did is look at the grave, and there he is. My mother right next to him, and my aunt right next to him on the other side. My Aunt Berta, so he's sandwiched between two sisters. And I thought, I hope they're gonna party down there. And, so I don't want to ramble on, but it was so peaceful for me to come through and just feel him, feel his presence, feel other people who I love, their presence. You all know about Gary, his son. Rabbi spoke about his son. And I don't know. It's kind of, I'm not even, well, I am saying it in a sad way, I'm an orphan. So, I should have read my, no, okay. So, he was known for so many names that I just kept laughing every time I thought of another one. So, as you know, he was born Samuel Poteraike. No, actually Poteraichke. Oh my God, poor Sam. And so that was his given name. Samuel Poteraike. And after moving to this country in 1960, he thought, this, and my mother, they thought this is a bit much for the United States. His name went from Samuel Poteraike to Sam Potter, just cutting both. And there, but I was Ana Poteraike. I'm named after his mother. So, again, one thing. So in 1928, and one thing I want to say that I didn't realize till I started trying to write a more official goodbye. I thought 1928, wow, that is Art Deco period. And well, I'm an interior designer. I'm sorry that got sucked in there. But you know what? I thought everything he had ever bought for me was from that era. I don't think he knew that. I got clocks and I got teapot, here and there from different travels. They were antique. They were from the 20s. And I thought, I wonder if somewhere in my inner, that actually had something to do with it. It made me smile. And so I know how much all of you loved him or you wouldn't be here. And that's what kept coming across with all these messages. And of course, we all do that when someone passes away. However, in this case, I kept hearing the same thing over and over again. And I realized my father never judged. He did not make a judgment. He didn't judge you. He may not agree with you, and he would tell you that he did not, but he wouldn't judge. He would never judge. And what kept coming through with every message was his smile. I will always remember his smile, his joy of life, his love of people that was, unbelievable. And one thing that really, from his early days when he moved to this country, I heard from people that I didn't even know that well. Things that my dad and my mom, but this was about my dad, what he had done for them, lent them money, my father didn't have that much money. And anyway, it was also so positive, and I got through all this time listening to those wonderful words, those wonderful messages that were so specific to him, not just in general, I'm sorry for your loss kind of message. It was incredibly special. And boy, they knew my dad. And my dad was named, he had so many names, as you guys know. Started out Samuel, and then it was Shmileke, is what I used to call him. Sometimes I'd call him Sammy. And so it was Shmileke. And then one of the most important to him, aside from the Shmileke, was Samuelito. His wife, Samuelito. And so I can go on and on with more names that he had. He was called Zadie. He was called any other name there's more and more of them. But, of course, I had that on my notes. See, Lillian, thank you. Uncle Sam. And one thing that's coming. That one. Tio Sam, Uncle Sam. And that's coming. And, all his nieces and nephews, it was amazing to hear from them and telling me how he was my favorite uncle. He was my favorite uncle. There is no uncle like him. I've been blessed to know him. I've been blessed to know him as my uncle. And so as one of his nieces said in her most beautiful message was that heaven is receiving one of the best, and our world here will miss him. But he's in heaven with the best. He's in heaven with so many close friends. and most of all, my mom and my brother. And I hope they're all dancing together. L'chaim to my dad. And most important, the last name for last, as you all know, Sam. Sam the man. Goodbye, Sam the man. We love you. Goodbye.
I'm Jessica. Zadie's energy and sense of humor was infectious. It was impossible to be in a bad mood around him because he always made you feel so loved and appreciated and special. He was an amazing, attentive grandfather who truly showed up for us in every sense of the word, whether it was my plays or big life events or just him and Jane hosting us for meals at his place or at the Chinese restaurant next door. What I wouldn't give to give him a big bear hug one last time and hear him say, "Jessica, my love, when are you getting married?" I'll carry with me his fierce love of and pride in his family, his ability to sing with abandon, and his laugh that made you feel like the funniest person in the world, even if he couldn't hear what you just said. I take solace in the thought that he is with my dad now, drinking Argentinian wine in heaven. I love you to the sky, Zadie.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, Jessica's sister, Zadie's grandson. Jessica's brother. Jessica is my sister. As you guys know, Zadie was a one-of-a-kind man. The last time I saw him was at his nursing home. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to be separated by a pane of glass. This meant we were outside the nursing home, and we were looking in through the window. And when we arrived, we just hear banging on the window as Zadie is so excited to see us. And even through a barrier, he still had me smiling and laughing to the point of tears. He's so emotive and expressive that no medium can prevent him from making us all laugh and smile. There was one moment there where he had a cup of water, and without hesitation, he dumped it all on the ground, put it up to his ear against the window as if it was going to help him hear us better. And he was just making jokes, singing and pantomiming and just being an all-around goof, and I think that's what I will remember most about him. His energy would just shine through any medium. I can call him any time of the day, any day of the week, and every single time. "Hello, Jeremy! I love you so much!" Always that amount of energy. No matter how tired or sad he was, if he got a phone call from one of us, he was the happiest man. But my fondest memory of his exuberance was when we went to a Christmas party in Argentina that we accidentally paid far too much money for. But it turned out it was an all-inclusive meal, and Zadie and I took full advantage. As many of you know, Zadie loved wine. And against all logic, I decided I would try to keep up with him. So, with every sip, he'd look to me, hold up his glass, and he'd yell, "Yippee!" with the biggest, most infectious smile you can imagine. So, I started drinking more and sending yippies right back at him. Well, after several more yippies back and forth, Zadie and I ended up killing 3 bottles between just the two of us. It was such a fun night that would not have been the same without Zadie there by my side, and I will never forget it. So, the next time you have a glass of wine or whatever you like to drink, give Zadie a big yippee, and he'll surely be smiling back down at you. I love you very much, Zadie, and I only hope that I can share the amount of joy you brought to me with the world. Goodbye, Zadie.
That was a good one. Few people in our lives have a direct impact on our lives before we are born. a grandparent is one of these people. And I'm extremely grateful for Zadie, that Zadie is mine. Without Zadie's courageous decisions, I would not be here. To move to a different country where you don't speak the language, as a young father, with little savings, is an incredibly, thank you, is an incredibly bold act. Recently, I moved 10 minutes away from where I was living, and I had panic attacks nightly, so I can only imagine what this was like. When I eventually did come into existence, Zadie gave me even more reason to be grateful to be his grandson. As a graduate from the School of Physical Theater Creators, I can state with confidence that Zadie was the ultimate clown. His silly faces, impromptu tango dancing, and his not just singing but belting of songs in public made him an absolute delight to spend time with. And one of the most unique attributes of Zadie was his proximity to his inner child. Just like a kid, he could move from extreme joy to sadness to anger and back to joy within one ordering at the San Shui Chinese restaurant. I truly admire his ability to feel so deeply and his inhibition to express such emotions. He always made me feel special when I'd see him, despite Jane's insistence to no grita. He would greet me with a "Cameron! My love, you are my legacy. I love you so much." His pride warmed my heart and was a reminder to live life courageously, embracing my own emotions. And with his vibrance and passion, it was hard for people not to fall in love with Zadie. Zadie always had a unique question for people in his life. And I learned that I had been single for too long when I called up and he stopped asking me, Cameron, how many girlfriends do you have? And he started asking me, Cameron, how many employees do you have? The story that Jeremy told about Zadie in Argentina during Christmas was an extremely fond memory for me as well. And it was a moment where he taught me how to turn lemons into lemonade, because you have no idea how upset I was that the concierge at our hotel told us that it was $300 and we thought it was Argentine pesos and it was in fact US dollars. And thank God for Jane that night, because she led us home after so many bottles of wine, stewarding a bus by herself. I will do my best to carry forward Zadie's love for fun, his passion and playfulness in all my relationships. I'm so grateful for the life that he provided for me and our family. And I will miss my sweet, hilarious Zadie. I love you. May we all drink a glass of wine and eat an alfajor for Zadie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm proud to be Zadie's first grandchild, although, I really cannot beat what was said so much that's already been echoed with all my cousins about his vibrancy, about his love for life. All of that is something that is instilled and that he was proud of instilling. He was a man that was just so proud of his family, proud of me for being his first grandson, proud of Jeremy for being his last grandson, proud of Tori for being a world-renowned piano player, proud of Jessica for making it in Hollywood, proud of Jeremy for being a young stud. It really, he was very, very proud of his grandchildren and children, and in a large sense was part of my childhood. We used to come out to visit him and my Bobby at a very young age, kind of what I would say were probably the golden years of his life. The big Argentine family here, we would get together, but he, like Jessica had said earlier, just made you feel special. We have all these kind of inside jokes that if I probably relayed wouldn't be necessarily as funny, but I would, to me, I still laugh to this day. We would walk around the beach and we had this joke where I would say, how much would you pay for that car? And he's like, I wouldn't pay a bleeping cent for that piece of junk. Or, oh my God, I can't afford it. Why are you asking me to buy that for you? Are you kidding me? So he, just stuff like that. I will remember till my own dying days. It's a very special man. I will never forget and always remember everything you've done for our family and coming here and immigrating from Argentina. Very proud to call you my Zadie. Goodbye, Zadie. I love you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tori. I am the last one to speak about my grandfather, Zadie. And I thought about writing words, and I thought, that's not what Zadie does. He's on the fly, and he did it right every time. I like to consider him as somewhat of a nexus person. He will find you, you will remember him, and he will make you feel special for the rest of your life. And that's how we all feel about it. It's challenging dealing with grief and loss, and I have to keep reminding myself, because whenever people would meet him and they'd say, oh, you're from Argentina, and it comes to mind, Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, which was written like in the 70s or 80s, and he didn't really learn the song that well, but I keep thinking No Llores Por Me is this echo in my head. Like, he does not want us to grieve, he wants us to laugh and tell jokes. And if I learned so much from my Zadie, it's mi abuelo is another name I started calling him over the last 20 years, as abuelito, that he would like us to share in joy and comedy. There's just two things you need, just two: love and art, and that was always enough for him. So one of the most noticeable things that he did was belt out randomly the last 20 years. And one of his favorites was A Mi Manera, which is the Spanish version of My Way. So this is adaptado por letra de Vicente Fernandez. I'll say it first in a mediocre English translation, rather than say the words of My Way in English. This was actually his preferred version, was the Spanish translation. El final se acabó ya, lo esperó serenamente. Ya ves, ha sido así, se nos dijo sinceramente. Vivió la inmensidad sin conocer jamás fronteras. Jugó sin descansar a su manera. The end is finally here. He waited for it serenely. You see, it had been this way. He had told us sincerely. He lived the immensity with never knowing boundaries. He played without resting his way. Jamás vivió un amor que para él fuera importante. Cortó solo una flor y lo mejor de cada instante. Viajó y disfrutó. No sabe más que otro cualquiera, si bien todo esto fue a su manera. He never lived a love that was never not important enough. He cut only just one flower of the best of every moment. He traveled, he enjoyed as much as anyone, and Not least at all, he did it his way. Tal vez lloró, tal vez rió, tal vez ganó, tal vez perdió. Y ahora sé que fue feliz, que si lloró, también amó. Él siguió hasta el final a su manera. He may have cried, he may have laughed, he may have won, he may have lost. But I know that he was happy, that if he cried, he also loved. And he followed through till the end, his way. For the last few verses, we'll do our best to not break any glass. Quizás también dudó cuando más se divirtió. Quizás se despreció aquello que tanto quería. Hoy sé que firme fue y que pronto ser como era. Y así logró vivir a su manera. Porque sabrás que un hombre al fin conocerás por su vivir. No hay por qué hablar ni qué decir, ni recordar ni qué fingir. Pudo seguir hasta el final a su manera. He told me to never shave this mustache. I've only had it for 3 years. I might disappoint him. I'm not sure I can keep it my whole life, but I'll try my best. Thank you all. Love you all for being here.
Good job.
Hello, everybody. It's so nice to see so many folks. I'm Fred. I was Sam's son-in-law, his only son-in-law. Well, one of two. Jane, I just want to say, first of all and foremost, thank you for taking such wonderful care. We all know how important he was to you and how important you were to him. So thank you very, very much. When I think of Sam, what's incredible about all these wonderful things that everybody had to say about him, which are all true, is never have I met a person who has endured so much loss, starting when he was 6 years old and he lost his mother until very near the end of his life. Yet, you heard all the wonderful things and how he was able to, as Cam said, make lemonade out of lemons. He took so many difficult things in his life, yet he was able to still bring a lot of joy to so many other people. And that's a lesson for all of us to live. So, goodbye, Sam. Thank you.
I'm Karen's daughter-in-law. All I have to say is 2 words that he always said to me: I'm lucky, I'm lucky, I'm lucky.
Well, I am one of his nephews, Roberto, and yesterday I was watching Jeopardy last night, and they brought up the word verklemmt, and I am today verklemmt for my Uncle Sam. I had a great relationship with him, and I'm not going to go back to the years, but the last few years, we will see each other once a month at Nordstrom in Old Orchard, and from there we will go to have lunch at Corner Bakery. But just arriving to Nordstrom, it was always fun to see him, because he will always say, "Oh, I just returned everything that I bought because it didn't fit me." Okay, so one day I went in before and I got a bag, an empty bag from Nordstrom, and I said, here, Uncle Sam, I bought something for you. But the funniest thing is that he's always singing. He will sing in Spanish, tangos, and I will sing in Yiddish. But he will sing to the whole store. And he was a flirt. Everywhere he goes, he will, oh my gosh, right. He was a flirt. And he will stop with everybody and say something. And he would say, you know how old I am? And nobody will believe him. Oh, no, you're not that old. Oh, yes, I am. And then we will go into a corner bakery, and the lady, that as a matter of fact, last month, I was with my sister, and she came in and said, is he alive? I said, yes, he is alive. And she will bring us always something sweet to finish the evening. Unbelievable. But the funniest thing is that sometimes he couldn't hear. And I said, Uncle Sammy, why didn't you wear it? He will take it out of his bag and say, talk to him. Unbelievable. I have so many wonderful, beautiful stories with my Uncle Sam. But the most important thing is that he lived his way. Like you just said, that you took away my song, but that's okay. But my Uncle Sam always said at the very end, lo hice a mi manera. May you rest in peace, Uncle Sammy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm Uncle Sam's niece, and I was always very touched by Sam. He always made me feel so special and made me feel that I had an important part in his family. And it was with quite sadness that I see that he has passed. When I think of Uncle Sam, I think of my mother, because my mother was his sister, and as you heard, his mother died when he was 6, and it was my mom who took care of him all those years. And when they came to this country, the reason we came to this country, I think the reason why a lot of people came to this country is because of Sam, because of what he said about being in this country, how much better it was. And I appreciate that, because I would not be here without Uncle Sam. And I wish him all the peace and all the forgiveness that he gave us. I love you, Uncle Sam.
I am one of the 3 Lilies. Uncle Sam has 3 nieces, Lilies. I guess I was the first Lily. Then Lily, this Lily is the second, and there's one in Argentina, right? The 3 Lilies. In Israel, right. I just want to say that Uncle Sam was the pioneer for our family. When he came to this country, he used to come to our house in Argentina for lunch once a week. And at one point, I was maybe 8 or 9. I heard that he was going to come here to work. And the next thing I know is my aunt came, Sophie, with Gary and Ann. And then the next thing I know is my mom missed Sophie so much. We came to visit in 1961. And in 1963, we also moved here because Uncle Sam was the first one to have come here to make it a better life for everyone. And growing up here, before the age of seatbelts, he used to just take everyone in the car, and we had to go take a drive down Lakeshore Drive and look at the beautiful lake, look at the buildings, and non-stop talking, and then from there we had to go to Kittyland, we had to go to Riverview, we had to go everywhere, and on the weekends we have to go to Lake Villa. For anybody that's here that grew up with the Argentinian crowd, you know what I'm talking about. And if it wasn't Lake Villa, it was the Forest Preserve, Labag Woods, and if it wasn't that, it was Lake Zurich. Okay, and then Nipperson came, and my aunt and uncle had a house in Nipperson, and I went to visit one summer, and I was already teaching, and they actually had asked me to work there, and because they were short-staffed, and my Uncle Sam said, "Mi casa es tu casa, quédate aquí, trabaja aquí. Stay here. My house is your house." So there I am, a whole summer being 26 years old, working in Nippersink, because my Uncle Sam said, "Stay here for the summer. You got nothing else to do." Thank you, Uncle Sam. And I just want to bring something up that Anne is going to relate to this. When we were little, my uncle used to sit the two of us down and say, "There are two things I don't want you two to do. One, I don't want you two chewing gum. Que no coman chicle. Two, I don't want you to wear pantyhose. No quiero que usen medias de nylon." Because wearing pantyhose meant we were becoming young ladies, and that means someone might like us. So, no, we were not to chew gum, we were not to wear pantyhose, to which my dad would add, "And I don't want them swearing. No quiero que digan malas palabras." Okay? And this is, and the memory of your dad. As a matter of fact, to this day, whenever I'm in a store and I'm looking to buy soap or whatever, I see the Zest soap, I think of Uncle Sam because of his zest for life, all that he taught us, all that he brought everyone, his smile, all that he's overcome. Whatever any of us are going through or have gone through are nothing compared to the life Uncle Sam had. And we have so much to learn. I think of him as a role model. I will always, always and forever have him in my heart, along with your mom. And I'm glad they're all back together. I love you, Uncle Sam. Te quiero mucho. Anne said she never listened to that advice, but I kind of did, Anne. I was the listener, Anne.
I was not lucky enough to be Sam's grandson or brother-in-law, but when he married Tia Jane, he became my cousin, my uncle, and my godfather by marriage. So it's complicated, but it's true. Then we moved also here in '63 and lived right across the street. We lived on Hamilton around 70, and he had his print shop on Tui. And the Saul and everybody lived across the street. So I only saw Sam once a year, twice a year. I lived pretty far away, so I'd see him in Argentina or here, Israel. And I can vouch for everything everybody said here. His greeting for me was, "Albertito, ¿querés un whiskey?" Of course I want a whiskey. Who doesn't? And that was, I don't know, said a lot of things. He said he married my aunt because he wanted to be my father's brother-in-law. I mean, those two were amazingly close, and I'm sure they're going to have a great time up there.
I just want to mention one thing, that when I came there the second time, Sam told me, look at me, look at my head. From my head to my toe, I'm perfect. I said, okay, but find me in the Bible, did anyone talk about it? You have to make sure that, I know. I said, of course. Isaiah in chapter 1 said that for my feet to my toe, I'm not perfect, but you said from your head, because your head is good, so therefore you go all the way to your feet, so then you're perfect. He says, oh, I remember it as a child, you're okay now. Now we can sing. He likes to sing also Shalom, which we're going to sing, number 1. Number two, what I liked about him, he was such a mensch, such a kind person, that he loved singing. Why is singing important in Judaism? You know why? There are two kinds of songs. There's a song limited to words, like you say, you say Shema Yisrael, Va'afta, or we say You Are My Sunshine. He liked that, So he said, okay, this English song is okay for me. But then there are songs in Hebrew. It's called nigin, a song without words. You know why? I explained them. A song without words means feeling emotion. There's something that you can always continue. And now Shmulik is singing the song straight to God. He tells God, Dayenu, that next time, remember, invite me for a good occasion, for only for weddings and bar mitzvahs or bat mitzvahs. And the Kabbalah said that when there's a funeral, you should pray for anyone who's sick in the community, and that Sam, you're going after Shmulik, and your father's name was Eliezer. And it's interesting that he told me that, and Anna told me that his grandfather's name was Eliezer too. It's usually not accustomed to give the same names as a son and a grandfather. But I found out there's a rabbi called Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, a rabbi about 300-400 years ago. He said if the person is a nice person and they have the same name, it's okay. Let them go in the same footsteps. So I told it to Sam. He liked it. He said, good. He said, I didn't want to tell it to everyone because, out of it look that we have the same name. I said, Eliezer, you're a servant of God and you and the king, so that it's okay. At this time, I want to ask Mechila for forgiveness. And he used to love to speak Yiddish and Spanish to me. He should be a good, a better, a positive interceder on behalf of his wife, his daughter, his son-in-law, children, grandchildren, and everyone that came today. Remember, Sam, you're closer to God. It's right before Rosh Hashanah. Tell God, Dayenu, tell God that the family should call me next time for good occasions, and there should be health and peace in the world, and let us say Amen. And please write, we'll say the Kamole. And whoever cannot stand, it's okay.
No way.
אלה מולי רחמים, שוכם המרומים, אמצי מנוח נכונות תחת כנפי השכינה, ומעלות קדושים ותיירים, כזוהר ורקיע, מבידין שמואל בן אליעזר וחנה שהלך לעולמו בעבור, שאנחנו מתפללים ברכת נשמתו בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו, אכן בא לו רחמים, יפתיריה ותזר כנפיו לעולמים, ביטחו החיים את נשמתו, אדוני ונחלתו, וינוח בשלום במשכבו, ונאמר אמן. Under Psalm 23 we have the Kalmole. Let's hear it together on the bottom. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, can perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Saint Potter, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may he rest in peace, and let us say Amen. And let's say on the back the Kaddish together. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחי אחד וביום אחד ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, טובחתה ונחמתה, לאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו והכל ישראל ואמרו אמן. The last one, let's sing. That was his favorite song. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן. It's a custom to put 3 shovels when they put it down. Why 3 shovels? Every person has 3 partners, God and the parents. And we tell Sam, this is called Chesed Shalom, it's kindness. We tell Sam, thank you for all the good work, and you'll be our good and positive intercessor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the service here at the cemetery. Now we're proceeding with the interment. When the cemetery is completed and lowering the casket and putting the top of the outer burial container in place, we'll begin with the immediate family, and then we invite all that wish to step forward and participate. Participating in the burial of a loved one is one of the highest of all mitzvot in Judaism, because it's an act of kindness for which you can never be thanked by the person that you're assisting. If you don't want to participate, there is no obligation to do so. If you would like to participate today, please watch your step at all times around the open grave. And if you would like to participate, whether by shovel or by the pails, when you're done, either put the scoop or the shovel back into the earth. Do not pass a shovel or a scoop from person to person. A couple other final announcements. The family wants to invite all of you that have gathered here today to join them immediately following the burial at Jameson's Char House, 1331 West Dundee Road, here in Arlington Heights. As you exit the cemetery on Frontage Road, heading north, the entrance to the restaurant is before you get to Dundee Road. It's a quarter mile from here on the Frontage Road. Oh, thank you. Also, I want to make sure everyone is aware that this family gathering will take place outdoors. The final thing for those of you here in person and those that are watching online, the family has asked that memorial contributions be made to the Children's Diabetes Foundation in Aurora, Colorado. That information's on the funeral service folder that you should have. If you don't have one, we have them available. And for those of you online, that information is available on the website that you are currently on. For those of you watching online, thank you for attending the service. And in the next several minutes, we will terminate the live feed. Thank you.